Now, after that introduction, thank you so much to the team behind it. Of course, we're jumping right into picks advance, however.
Rumble is still up here. Hold on.
And two big things immediately. This is the thing that happened in spring as well. Ashe, T1, not allowed to have it. Both Guma and Keria use it amazingly well. But also, Rakan, missing will not be allowed to play.
And what about Ruler Kalista, too? That has been perma-banned versus him. Kalista can get through. Something is getting through. Rumble is getting through. The
Orianna.
And this is what happens when you prioritize taking away signature picks or comfort picks of players. Meta powerhouses make it through. Feels like it could be an easy Rumble first pick, but does 369 have something up his sleeve for that? Instead, the Orianna, the other pick worth talking about, and you have to assume JDG take the Rumble here.
Yeah, I feel like you have to take it away just because of how good Zeus has been on it, how dominant of a pick it's been, and an answer has not been found. And I really like the Kalista ban because it would not surprise me if T1 would have just B1 that. One, to deny it from Ruler, but also because it is a flex pick for T1. Both Guma and Keria can use that. Rumble will be picked up here and will not be given over to Zeus. Really strong start there for JDG.
Yeah, I think the thing that most people are looking forward to in this draft is what will the bottom lane reveal be? Because Guma on stage, after their victory over LNG, said we have plenty more in hiding for the counter picks for that bottom lane. We do get a counter pick here, the Akali into Orianna. We've seen it a bunch already. Will go down early on in CS, give up that push, but will be great for lanes later on, looking for assassination in the side lane. And they slam the Aatrox into the Rumble. We did not see that go well yesterday.
Yeah, from everything I've heard talking to pro top laners, this matchup is miserable. Oner was talking about it yesterday on X. This is an unplayable in the early state. The Xayah had 2 CS, was forced to back, came back and won this lane matchup anyway as Rumble.
Let's see if it was a Shy diff or a Rumble diff.
And I would have actually loved the Wukong there. Wukong works extremely well together with the Rumble to set up, and it's also a preemptive pick into T1 if they do still gravitate towards a double AD carry bot lane. Now there is the opportunity for JDG to ban away some of the picks that would enable that, and I do think if you have Wukong, Akali, they might be too worried that your mid lane jungle 2v2 is a little bit too weak in the early game.
I love this though for T1 grabbing the Rell flex super early on because it can go down bottom side as well for support or go jungle. And now we're going to see they're still drawing so many support bans. This is what everybody thought it was going to come down to in this series, is saving those bottom lanes till the very end here. Senna already off the table. They sewed the Senna, plus Tom Kench, plus the Neela as well. Let's see about the continued bans here, though. It looks like they're still going for these engaged champs because you know JDG want to build a 5-on-5 team fight.
You do, but of course we have to see how JDG are going to approach this bot lane arms race, what they're going to bring to the table to try to shut down some of these options for T1. T1 dominant on the red side, one of the only teams to do so. JDG have the luxury of that last pick, counter pick for bottom lane. How will they use it? The #1 question on
Renata's still up, Milio's still up. The Varus was very good for Gumayusi.
And what I'm wondering about is whether we are going to see the Xayah, because I think particularly into Rumble, Xayah has really dropped in stock. Becomes very hard to play out the late game fights when you have to use your Feather Storm immediately. But for JDG, that doesn't apply. Ruler is an absolute insane Xayah, courtesy of his world skin as well. So no surprise if it is locked in here. And it would also mean that T1 might be going towards a hyper carry themselves.
Have to see how T1 want to round at this, how they want to respond, what they want to blind pick into this bot lane support matchup, because I love what I'm seeing from JDG. So much backline threat with the Rumble ult, the Akali, the Vi going in together, having an AD carry who can peel for themselves. Jhin Bart!
We were talking about the Jhin so much early in the morning, and he actually slams it. Guma loves the Jhin. So many people who are not AD carry players, though, do not like this Jhin. I will say, calm down a little bit here. There is no tank on the enemy team, and that is the biggest inhibitor to the Jhin. So as much as everybody loves memeing on Jhin picks, there is no armor stacking tank here, and that's the biggest problem that he has to deal with.
There's a lot of history, obviously, with Jhin and T1. None of it good, and it is also a really big pivot away. I think the laning strength is the only similarity, but outside of that, not really going to be the case. The Alistar actually coming back here does mean that missing will be able to provide engage, and I really like this. I feel like you're kind of need to have some extra form of CC here besides the Vi to really get the most out of your Rumble in particular.
Yeah, for sure. They always want to have that structure to their team fights because JG is this team. They do not snowball games super effectively. They just crush you later in the team fights. Let's see if they can actually do it this time around. Of course, this is the first Jhin of Worlds 2023 picked up here. Guma slamming it down in the semifinals. And there's so much CC with this bottom lane as well. So much pick potential with a Bard plus Jhin. You can try and get that early lead in lane against an Alistar and then get Keria out of lane so you can go gank for the other lanes.
And we saw yesterday how effective a roaming Bard can be, how disruptive it can be to the game plan. A lot of the champions on the opposite side who might want to roam, who might want to look for these plays, you are up against missing on Alistar, this massive playmaker. So need to see if T1 can continue the trend of snowballing their leads in the early game.
And Keria has already proven himself on the Bard at Worlds here. He had a really beautiful Q flash redirection play on it. He's been very good at denying the Rift Herald charges as well on the tower, so expecting big things.
It also means the top lane matchup is much more important. With Jhin comms, you can't really afford to lose damage elsewhere, and we have not seen this matchup work out very well for the Aatrox. So a lot of pressure here on Zeus, who has been doing a really good job so far, but Rumble, that's going to be tough to survive in the early game.
So one thing I was talking about yesterday on the analyst desk with the Aatrox into the Rumble pick was that we did not get the Comet Aatrox, it was Conqueror Aatrox. And if you go Comet Aatrox, it's much more of a poke playstyle. But I also was DMing Odo and talking about it because he was really heavy on the Rumble side, and he was of the opinion that Rumble still can just W most of the Q poke, even with the Comet build here, and still come out ahead. And then you're sacrificing, of course, you don't have Conqueror for later for the Aatrox for your team fights. We'll see how much that does cost him, but Zeus here at least is going for the Comet tech to try and do that more pokey play style.
We'll see how it works out for them. Of course, in the meantime, connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming to grab the exclusive Braum W emote. That's how I felt about the Aatrox in the Rumble matchup yesterday, a lot of Braum W. So see if it works out better this time around for Zeus, how the poke adjusts this match, if it can shift these early expectations. And Jhin, I think, is going to remain the #1 question throughout this entire game. How effective can it be? Ruler obviously opting for the cleanse makes sense against so much CC, but what can they do in the early laning phase specifically?
And those early lane phase, what we expect them to be is to be a lot of push mid for Faker against this Akali. Knight Akali, early levels, you're not going to have too many options there. So the Orianna generally going to get some push. JDG with 369 on top side, the Rumble should still get plenty of push versus the Aatrox regardless of the Comet. So I want to see what they do with this because T1, you can see Oner is already taking away Raptors into red camp, started on the top side, doing a bit of split for the jungle, and that is going to be 2 camps stolen already.
And Bard level 1 still looking incredibly oppressive. With your passive, you essentially have 2 spells early on, whereas Missing essentially has none as a level 1 Alistar. So no surprise to see T1 take control of the bottom lane for now. See what it looks like once level 2 comes around for now. Keria and Guma doing their best to zone JDG's bot lane off of XP and gold.
Also, do take note, we already have Oner possibly looking for an opportunity to punish 369. He did walk into the jungle, didn't actually see, I think, where Oner started. We'll obviously find it out soon, as Kanavi figures it out, but the timing window might just be there.
It's perfect for the setup.
369,
now they know!
Total control of the lane, but just now sees Oner. Oner mounting up. On the way in, looking to lock him up and take him out. 369 still standing for now. Will he burn the flasher or just accept his fate, trying instead to turn and burn onto Zeus, get a little bit more health damage, just accepts his fate. First blood for the side of T1. Knight and Kanavi not able to find the counterpunch in mid lane.
Level 1s are so big, and the delayed invade there, taking away the Raptors into red. Easy level 3 topside counter gank, or just pure gank there for Oner. Meanwhile, Kanavi getting chased off his attempted counter jungle.
Oh, Faker trying to make sure that Kanavi does not just get the camp for free. Now Oner's on his way, and Keria, he's trying to collapse.
Keria coming through. Magical journey through the wall will just completely zone him off the camp.
Defense complete. And now Kanavi is going to know he's got nothing to go back to in his own jungle. Even gets stunned up here in mid lane by Keria, further delaying him. Everybody knows, T1 know his only option is to come topside towards a Scuttle Crab or towards some more blue camps here. So it looks like Oner comes up, he covers that top Scuttle Crab, and there is nothing for Kanavi.
Not only that, but Oner already has been able to get it back in, whereas Kanavi still had to be out on the map trying to pivot, and this timing window was so short because you see Kanavi there pinging. They know that Oner is on the top side of the map. 369 just wasn't able to get the wave in time.
And the key is this ward right here that they had to see, the regular gank path is all circumvented by that level 1 that we're talking about. When he starts on Raptors, goes into red, he just 3 camp clears JDG's side of the jungle, comes from behind you with a red buff, and that is going to influence the data on our Aatrox Rumble matchup a little bit further.
And you got to respect T1's foresight to prepare for what is considered a Rumble-favored matchup by leveraging some early jungle priority here to the top side of the map. Xayah's getting closer and closer to what we assume is a first item Hex Drinker. We saw in the Gwen matchup how impactful that item is in the 1v1.
You know what they say? The most important part of a top lane matchup is jungle.
Yeah! No fair fights in the top lane. Also, do note, Zeus went for Doran's Blade, so really opting into the early lane dominance, in addition to the kill that he already got, doesn't really set him behind, does give him a lot more combat stats to try and stay on parity. Because if you can mitigate the Rumble early on, it gets you to the point where the Aatrox can actually skirmish. And as already mentioned, I do expect it to be a Hex Drinker, given that you're playing to double AP topside, and T1 have been very aggressive in securing early Heralds.
It's 5 minutes into the game. T1 already have a 1,000 gold lead. No objectives taken quite yet. Herald, of course, hasn't even spawned. But T1, we expected them to pull ahead in the laning phase, but they are much further than just a little bit ahead at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's so interesting and fun to compare the playstyle of these two juggernaut teams. Absolute masters here at Worlds in very different arenas. T1 masters of snowballing these lane phases into mid-game and into end of the entire Nexus. Meanwhile, JDG, they have not put a lot of effort in a lot of their games into getting huge early leads, but they have been explosive in their mid-game team fights and actually have a quicker average game time because of it.
Oh, and I would really like this from JDG, because you know T1 is going to try and aggressively stack dragons, but they won't have the opportunity. We do see Knight already here. Doesn't look like T1 is going to be able to contest this.
Zeus going for the solo bolo, and he just gets the kill!
What? That is not a Comet diff right there. That's a Zeus diff. God of lightning, god of the top lane. He lays it down, and 369, it is in the dirt again. Whoa!
And for T1, after the chase performance we saw last week, we wondered what level Zeus would be at, what level C69 would be at in this matchup. When he got the Rumble, I thought for sure he'd be favored, but Zeus setting the expectation on its head, and 369 just too far behind, stepping far too far forward.
Yeah.
Q1 confirms the pullback on Infernal Chains, makes it easy.
Yeah, just dash forward, hits the chain. He had the level 6 advantage, gets the solo bolo. And again, it all comes back to the early jungle path for Kanavi, stealing away, or for our Oner, stealing away the camps, getting the gank off.
Because if 369 is 6, you can't go for that play, right? He will be able to easily survive as...
Ruler ignited 2 fights, one in the bottom lane, one in the mid lane. Faker burning the shockwave just to get away from Knight. Now the curtain call coming out. Ruler gonna sidestep 1, slowed by the 2nd, looking for 1 more, but missing there just in time to deny the kill. Guma 4 shot now pushing in. Jhin notoriously bad at pushing these towers. Probably not gonna be able to grab a plate there, but Ruler's so low, maybe they can get it done. Is Oner still controlling, total control on the top side from T1. Mid lane matchup getting a bit closer. Guma playing very aggressive with the power of the journey.
See there as well, the confidence from Ruler, knowing that missing was there, not using his flash, only invested its cleanse, but T1 still going to be happy there towards the bot side of the map. I think the big thing for JDG is to not let the map snowball from here. That early Drake actually makes a really big difference, because we know this team is going to play for, say, 1-2 item spikes and the 5v5. So delaying the point where T1 forces you into a must-fight scenario with Drake stacking early on has already been delayed. And then secondly, Knight has been able to do a really good job of mitigating the early presence that Orianna is expected to have by just staying on CS parity.
I have to say, especially with the early money and being behind, the early money going into Oblivion Orb and being behind, this Rumble is not going to have the same impact that we have seen Rumble at this tournament. Those team fight ultimates that he is supposed to bring for these objectives are going to be so much weaker than you're used to seeing. I don't know if the threat is even going to really be there for JDG, so T1 are going to feel very confident about this mid game and try and snowball here. Oner up to the top side, does see Kanavi as he comes over with that Scryer's plant, but they're calling up everybody here. This is going to be a full 5-on-5. Both bot lanes coming.
No ultimates available for either support. There are ultimates for both Ruler and Guma. We'll see if T1 is able to contest here.
No flash for Keria. Has to be a bit careful about how far forward he steps. Kanavi ready with the ultimate. Zeus strong.
Getting low.
But opted for lethality. He's still relatively squishy, all things considered. Zeus still stepping forward with the Infernal Chain, looking for the lockup. Tempered Fate now coming in, isolating Knight. Knight right in the back line, and Oner immediately with the follow-up engage. Zeus still standing. Now finally the buy is going in, but it might just be too little too late. Knight, VSCV to the back of the fight. Zeus ticking, burning, but the shutdown to 369. But now they're
They force all of their flashes over the back of the pit and then still chase down 2 of the kills. That initiation, Keria Bard ultimate into Oner, timing the Rell engage right afterwards is massive.
And the nightmare of the Jhin turns into a dream for T1 fans as this Herald fight goes their way. It is the setup here. Initially looks a bit clunky, but Oner gets the combo, immediately forces out the ult from Ruler, and this is where, if 369 isn't so far behind, maybe it's enough to turn the fight, but instead, everyone is already low, the equalizer isn't enough, and JDG are fish in a barrel.
And you just saw there, Rumble flashed and still died. Gumayusi killed him. Missing flashes, Missing still gonna die. He gets killed by the Jhin again. Keria, Bard tunnels them over, Knight dies as well. Let's see about the next fight, because now there are gonna be 0 flashes on the side of JDG. Faker, Kanavi still have theirs.
Zeus, no boots yet, no magic mantle. Working steadily towards what we assume will be a Duskblade here as he backs away. Maybe suspects the play from Kanavi. Charge forward, lock up, ulti used in the previous fight. 369 still burning him down. Xayah's running for the hills, the rumble, boom, and the Vi. Get it done on the top side. A bit of hope for JDG.
That's huge. That's very, very big for getting him back on trap. They need to get 369 a turret plate up there as well. Rift Trail dropped in the mid lane. Looks like Knight was actually the one who got to pick it up. Nice, so he's gonna be able to get the full gold on it. Didn't have to split it with Kanavi there. Isolates it a little bit more, but next dragon coming up pretty soon as well. Only 10 seconds left on that clock. And Keria is already trying to get a little bit deeper vision for the setup.
Really big moment here. These are the types of plays that JDG need to make if they want to make sure that this goalie doesn't grow further, right? Shutting down Zeus, not allowing him to just play the isolated 1v1, because we've seen in the series against LNG where that can lead. Kanavi being very patient there, Zeus walks up and wards, gets taken out even without the ult being available for the Vi.
And reminder that when we talk about JDG, we talk about scaling graciously, being willing to lose something here or there, so when they hit 2 items, they can find the perfect angle for a fight, something they are so incredibly good at doing. That said, T1 taking control for so much of this early game, almost 2K in their favor. They're not willing to give up this Drake for free. Oner into the pit, and he will steal it right out of Kanavi's hands. Curtain call over the wall. There is nowhere for that Vi to go. Guma now on a killing spree, Missing running for his life, locked up into the wall. Equalizer used just to keep the support alive.
T1 make it look effortless there. They just come in, yoink, thank you so much for the dragon. Oner steals it away, and they also get the... Never mind, he gets a freebie back.
Staying a bit too long, stun now coming through. 369, careful not to overheat too quickly. Continuing to walk forward, making sure now he has the flame spitter to try to bring it back. Shockwave there, Keria not quite able to connect. Maybe they have the damage. Faker's gonna be in trouble, Missing now, pushing him back, trying to sacrifice. 369 burns down to the ignite of Keria. Missing killed as well, and every play that looks like it favors JDG just turns in the favor of T1.
And it looked there like Oner had overstepped, but the rest of the team is there to backing up. Faker can't keep him alive, but can stall for reinforcements to arrive.
And the key factor here, through it all, through all of this exciting fight, is that all these kills keep going to Faker and Gumayusi, and they still have their flashes available. The T1 carries are in a huge position to carry. So 140-something HP it looked like there on the Dragon, on a Kanavi's early attempt. Oner just yoinks it, thank you very much. Then they come in. They did invest Zeus' teleport there to get down, and you see towards the end of it, you had Knight teleport up top side on the Akali to go pick up that minion wave by the top turret, which is probably what Oner was thinking when he was like, okay, fine, I guess it's okay for me to go in here. In the end, on the chase down, they still end up getting the better of it here, because with the ignite on 369, they still get that kill, and they get the kill on the Missing. So even though Oner walks into the jungle and he goes down, it's a 2-for-1 for T1.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about Jhin in general, but 303 Jhin with Swifties and a Stormrazor, I feel pretty damn good about, Kobe.
And it's about when you pick it. You know, like we said in Champ Select, there's no pure big tank on the enemy team.
Temper Fate there.
A bunch of armor.
Should be an easy follow-up. Now Keria taking his time, waiting for the wall to try to line it up. He doesn't even need to! Zeus' damage is disgusting.
And crucial there, look at the timing on 369 flash. Just a couple of seconds later, and he would have been able to flash that. Would have been fine, but G1 is targeting this top side so insanely heavy, and it all comes from Keria's Bard.
And he's not done.
Clean sidestep, nice backstep as well. Shattering Strike, not going to connect. Ruler able to hold on to his life. Good footwork, Missing there to cover and clear the way, but T1 sharks in the water, waiting for a single sign of blood from JDG.
So fun to watch them play because after they get the kill on top side, they immediately shift everybody up towards this mid lane. Zeus is able to get the tower by himself as they push them back. And so first tower bonus, look at that, 14.5 minutes. We've already got objective bounties popping up on the side of JDG because of the gold lead that T1 have accrued.
That is insane. And MasterCard lane economy snapshot is gonna remind us just how crazy it is. That's dominance. If you didn't know what dominance looks like in a graph, that's it.
Yeah, what's that 25 then, huh?
I don't know.
What's that called?
It's kind of like a reverse middle finger is kind of what's going on here in this early game. And that said, T1, they're a team that's loved around the world, right? They're heavy favorites in the vote, but coming into this tournament, JDG felt like clear winners. Felt like probably an easy golden road given the meta, but T1, you know, a chance for redemption for a roster that's come close so many times, and they're making good on all that faith from all the fans here in Busan showing up in game one.
Kind of player from JDG, they know they can't contest because of the item discrepancy, to try and get maybe a kill towards the bot side of the map, maybe pick up a bounty. I think they should be able to shove in the turret here, but it is going to be the Herald going over this time around to T1, and this dragon stacking is going to become a really big part. I think the first Drake that JDG got is still something they're going to be super happy about because it denies a really early Ocean Soul, because we haven't really talked about it yet, right? But T1 in particular, if they can reach a point where players like Zeus, even with this lethality build, can just sustain for everything, it becomes really hard for JDG because their Rumble is so far behind to actually have the damage output until you get to way later in the game to take down T1.
One thing that's so cool about the T1 bottom lane here and them continuing to innovate on the world's meta is that with Jhin and Bard, you have so many pick tools for the mid stages of the game. When you get towers down so early like this, it frees up a lot of space to go in. Room for Keria to make some picks here with the Bard ultimate, as well as Gumayusi with these Ws, trying to root up behind anything that Oner goes for. So when you're in a time window like this, where Zeus does have his teleport ready, you have to be so scared as JDG, because Zeus can just split push and then still teleport into the rest of the team towards this dragon spawn. There he comes.
Now the curtain call comes out, isolating Kanavi. Keria now on the follow, trying to take the jungle out before the dragon comes alive. Ignite already burning down, Kanavi running. Half health. If T1 want to capitalize on this window, they're going to need to fight soon.
And look at that. Zeus was able to push the wave all the way up. He teleports down to the bottom side. Now T1 have the minion wave crashing top side. They can push out mid, and they're threatening JDG on this team fight. Zeus on the flank, down bottom, in the tri-brush.
Herald already utilized. Going to create some pressure, going to break open mid lane at the very least. T1 already pulling ahead in the play. If they can get the Drake as well, it's everything. Oner waiting in the darkness. JDG, this is such a tough angle to fight from. Continuing to stay around, continuing to stick around, willing to give up so many resources. The crash in mid lane already happened from the Herald. The tower slowly but surely crashing. Rather breaking down now as Dragon still aggroed here. Keria playing on the edge. Ruler going through the portal. Feathers fly, but to little effect as JDG just have to run the pullback over the wall. Now they're just trying to isolate and take out Zeus. Big gold influx for the side of JDG. Can they take the fall fight? Already the equalizer burned. Keria running through the magical journey. Everybody trying to get out, but Oner will be denied. Oner cannot find the escape, but it doesn't matter because T1 are there in time. Missing, trying to fire back. Gumayusi out of ammo, desperately trying to reload, but here comes the kunai. Here comes Knight, the flash away to safety. 3 shots left in the barrel. Manages to lock him down, playing on the edge, missing. Has he stabbed
Faker's coming!
Far. Faker on the flank. No shockwave. A lot of help. Has to play careful here. Knight, no ultimate. Needs to make his way out of this one. The lockup there from Guma from so far away. Oner coming in, the pullback on him missing, trying not to stick around for too long. One taken down already. Knight now going in, trying to turn it back. Guma says not today.
Guma puts it right between his eyes as Knight goes for the kill. But Faker did so much work in this. He's able to get back to the tri-brush. His shockwave buys them the space, and then he chases down the extra kill.
And for a moment, it looks like what I can only imagine must have been a mistake with Ruler taking the gate there. JDG is almost able to take him around by immediately collapsing onto Zeus. Even with him investing his flash, he ends up going down, and that's a lot of gold for T1, gone right from the get-go.
And that is the Akali ultimate, it is the Vi ultimate, and it's a bunch of tower dive damage. So then when Faker is able to teleport down and reposition here by the tri-brush as well, his shockwave splits them, and then look, he just runs down Ruler while Knight and Missing are trying to chase Gumayusi. But Gumayusi, critical flash right there. He dodges the E from Knight. That is lethal. He's able to avoid this, and then Faker's able to chase them down. The W coming through from the Jhin as well to root up Knight. And that's all she wrote. Oner poking around. He knows all he has to worry about is the Akali damage. They kill off the Alistar first. Even with that E landing, Guma takes him down.
4 shot in the dancing grenade to finish the job. Close fight at the end of the day. We saw in the picture-in-picture as well. Ocean Drake does get picked up.
Exactly, and what is that going to do for the game plan for this team? We saw before the Dragon even went down, the mid tower's down. All the goals that T1 wanted with this composition have been accomplished. They're opening up the map. They've taken away the Dragon stacking possibilities from JDG, and they have the gold lead to snowball with. So now without these outer towers in mid and top here, T1 are going to continue to look for picks.
Oner pushed back, contesting a bit of vision here as Guma tries to get mid priority. You can see Faker opting for a defensive build in the Akali. Knows that if he wants to go onto that side lane, he needs something like a Banshees to make sure he does not get picked off. Diligence in the itemization of T1. Locket as well coming out for Keria, just to make sure that it's that much harder to burst through Gumayusi. And with JDG so far behind in so many positions, they might just not have enough damage to finish off these priority targets. Keria going in. Lineup not quite there, but the captive audience now coming through. Missing, trying to back up. Shockwave pulling back just to kill the Alistar, but they get to tier 2 as well.
The range on this composition, baby. Look at those picks for T1. The cow is down, and they're going to get a free bottom tower. Look at the minimap. Zeus, free to split push to his heart's content. The last outer tower. The defense is here for JDG, crumbling.
Keria, perfect predict on the Shuriken flip, means the lockup is there on a Knight. He goes into the Shroud. Kanavi ready to give his life to protect his mid laner. They're now going into the back line straight onto Guma. Locked up with a Temper Flame, doesn't quite connect to the Jhin. Burns to the ground. JDG trying to hold on to hope, but here is Zeus. Here's the top laner right as they need him to crash down, the pull back on the Infernal Chains. Missing goes in, but he cannot find the edge. Ruler still stands, but he doesn't have the angle to attack. He doesn't have the angle into the fight. The Shroud will take Knight out to safety, and T1 stands strong despite the kill on the Guma.
As long as T1 doesn't get anything, though, you'll take that as JDG. That is a big shutdown going over. Guma actually going down there means that at the very least some gold will go into the pockets, but you gotta imagine as soon as the Baron is going to get started by T1, their take isn't amazing, but that has to be the next objective.
Keria there, knows Knight's gonna go for the E on his tumble backwards, stuns him up, hits him, but here's a look at the encounter. It is so beautiful. Kanavi locking Guma up, and then they get the root from Ruler. He doesn't even get to move, and Gumayusi is dead.
Yeah, if Guma gets caught in the Bard Earl there, then he actually survives, right? It is the fact that he just barely, I think, got knocked out of it there at the end. And as a result, ends up going down. T1 tries to get more extra kills, but won't find it. But this is the real test for JDG. Even with the deficit, can they maybe find a big wombo combo on top of a Rumble Ultimate when T1 goes for Nash?
And a test for T1 to make sure that they can take this Baron cleanly or continue to push their advantage forward. So many teams, this is where it all gets thrown away around this massive objective. JDG, though, continuing to just fish for picks on the side lane, not eager to force the 5v5. The deficit they're at, it makes a lot of sense. 7K gold advantage for the side of T1.
People usually, as we have Oner getting into some dangerous territory here.
Don't walk away.
Rumble's recalling right now, and Rumble doesn't have teleport. He's Ignite Rumble, so there's no way they actually try and fight it. All right, JDG, they want to defend their vision, but they have to choose their moment. They're so far behind that now, if they lose another fight, then that will be Baron, and that will be the end of the game. That will be all that T1 need to end it.
Big thing here, though, is that that ward isn't spotted by the control ward. So there is 100% knowledge for JDG whether or not T1 has actually started up the Baron. Oh, JDG can just sit there, bide their time.
Missing walks forward, immediately forced to break the Unbreakable Will, or to pop the Unbreakable Will.
That was an immediate cost to curse. Sorry for your flash missing.
To be fair, he knew they at least weren't on Baron, even if he wasn't sure of anything else. T1 have started this one. Guma in the area. Again, a slower Baron normally, but they're so far ahead with the Jhin that it might not matter. TP from the Akali. Knight in the area now. T1 maybe just going to fish for the pick here. Already got one advantage. Tempered Fate onto Kanavi is big. The lineup is there. Zeus immediately going to look to knock him down. Can they find it? Kanavi now going right back into Zeus. Oner in the area. Getting damage coming in for the Darkened Blade. Missing on the backside, trying to buy some space. But the Shockwave is clean. And in comes the curtain call. It is Zeus wreaking havoc on all of JDG to finish the ace of JDG.
That's a clean ace. That's got to be the game. I think they can push for the end.
Halt construction on the Golden Road immediately. T1 have something to say about it.
From start to finish, they have been in the driver's seat from the creative pathing in the early game of Oner to shut down 369. T1 have their eyes on the prize, and the prize alone. A spot in the finals, or at least one game closer. T1 showing up massive in this first game, missing, and Kanavi should not be enough. The Nexus lower and lower. T1 drawing first blood in this series.
Well, well, well. Blue side, game one, quite the flex here from T1, pulling out the Jhin Bard, snowballing incredibly effectively. And I still have to remember how this game first started, with Oner getting a really good Raptor steal into red steal into Krugs, level 3, ganking on the Rumble from behind. And that changed the whole story of how this top lane is going to go. Zeus is then able to follow it up with a solo kill, and T1 snowballed victory.
And I have two questions. What is going to happen to Rumble? The pick away didn't work, and what side is JDG going to pick?
Damn good questions. Let's see if the analyst desk had any answers for us as we send it over.